welcome to the Post-Human Podcast.
So today's guest, a shamanic, I knew I'd fuck that first word up, a shamanic energy healer and the founder of the Living Miracle Sanctuary, Brittany AC. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you? I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, it's you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on. I'm sorry I fucked up the word shamanic. Normally I mess. Well, the fun thing is normally I mess up people's names, but I'm like, oh, I can't mess up the name Brittany with an AC, so I'm gonna have to mess up the next best thing, which is shamanic. It's never intended. So obviously, what you do, a shamanic energy healer, fucking hell, I'm on it today with my own words. A shamanic energy healer. So how'd you get into it? It's a mouthful. Jesus.
So I'm actually an animal communicator as well.
And I was going to get into that. Don't worry. It was there.
So it just kind of developed from the aspect of animal communication. My angel, she was a dog when she first incarnated with me. She's actually incarnated with me 4 times, and they've all been very brief. She currently returned to me as a female cat November 4th of last year.
Okay.
So it's been quite a journey. And so she opened the pathway to animal communication. And at the end of her life, I was introduced to 2 animal communicators, and I didn't even know it was such a thing. And it's like, wow, I can learn to talk to the animals. And especially at the end of life, that's so devastating. And even when your animal tells you it's time to go, it's still devastating, but you can hear and honor their wishes. And you don't have all the what ifs, did I do the best for them? Did I make the right decision? So that's huge. And it alleviates that guilt, obviously. And so anyways, animals are here for their own journey. However, because they're such unconditionally loving beings, they're here to our healing journey, as well as push us in the direction of our dreams. And so animals, they're our mirrors, and they'll help us, they'll assist us carrying our emotional and physical baggage to lighten our load. And so we began our journey, and she was my mirror. She was terrified of people in life, and that's where I was at. I had a lot of trauma to overcome. And so the next time that she returned during my animal communication course. And she just appeared out of nowhere. So anyone that is hopeful that their animals will reincarnate, they'll find you. It doesn't matter if you move home, states. Like, she just appeared out of nowhere as a male stray cat.
Yeah, I've got you.
And so huh?
I've got you. I'm following. Don't worry. I'm on it. Carry on.
Yeah, obviously I was going to practice my animal communication. And as soon as I stopped trying, he told me he was angel returned. I was like, no, you're not. Like, we said our goodbyes and I'll see you in heaven. Like, you're not angel. And so I gave him some food, and he was famished, and he just made himself at home. And throughout the night, he told me he was angel. And I didn't believe him. So I took him to the vet. There's no chip. He needed to be neutered. And he was just like the sweetest cat. He was adventurous. He loved going outside, and he was just like this beautiful, confident soul. And he wanted me to step into that energy, but I couldn't. And I was like really struggling with my animal communication. Even though I did really well, I could hear the animals, but I didn't have the confidence. And because I didn't, he left me after a year. It was a wake-up call. And animals, they can manifest diseases. Like, whatever it takes to move you along, they'll do it. And that's what he did. And so, like, all of a sudden he was sick. And when I took him to the vet, they said it had been a long-term issue. And so, he kept that information top secret. And so I had reached out to an animal communicator, and because it was last minute, she didn't respond. So my options were to admit him or to euthanize. And so I asked him, and he said that his mission was complete. And so I sat down. I was like, why do I have to keep euthanizing you? This like breaks my heart.
Right.
And he
Okay.
reached out,
So
and he
I'm
reached,
just following you. Don't worry. If I'm
and
breaking up
so,
most of the time, I'm just saying, okay, okay. That's all it is. I'm like,
okay,
I'm following. Don't
perfect.
worry. That's all it is.
I'm sorry, I tend to look up as I'm speaking.
No, it's okay.
So,
You're all good.
so he reached out his paw and he was like, Mom, I'm still here and I love you. And I'm so grateful that you're being brave because it's so hard for me to leave you too. And so that was part of the wake up call. Like he was forcing me to trust the conversation. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I had heard him correctly. And so we said goodbye. And last year, she returned as a wild bird. And she was so young. You could see through her skin and her eyes were
You
closed.
see, this is
And
something that really it deeply fascinates me because I believe in a lot of things. I believe in a hell of a lot of things, but this is an avenue that I've never really looked into. Hence why I wanted to
uh-huh.
get you on the show, and this is why this has probably been the first show in maybe 50 where I've said about 5 or 10 words in the first 6 minutes because I'm deeply fascinated. I'm actually really like in tune. Um, it's very it's I mean, like my garden outside is like a pet cemetery. There's animals everywhere, and there's all sorts of spooky shit that goes on. So I believe in all of this whole energy transference and things going on. It's just hearing a first-hand experience is why I'm very quiet, and I'm for the first time I'm very quiet on my show. I'm like, oh, I'm actually really intrigued with this. So again, continue. It's
Well,
you've
I'm
got me
glad you're
glued.
enjoying.
No, I really am. This is the difference. Is I'm it's this is a rare moment for me to be quiet on the show. It's you've got me literally intrigued.
Awesome. So, anyways, she was so young and you could see through her skin. Her eyes were closed, and I was freaked out. I've never taken care of a bird before. I've communicated with them, and especially this young. And my son actually found her, and she wasn't under a tree. And so I thought maybe a cat had brought her. And I didn't know initially it was Angel. And just because you adopt an animal, it doesn't mean that it's an animal that's reincarnated. You have to ask. And so, anyways, and I believe that animals cross our path to bring a message, bring
Yep.
healing, like whatever's needed. So, I gently touched her because I thought she was dead, and she wasn't. And so I brought her inside so she could like die in a warm place and feel loved. And so I actually sent my son out with a cup of water. It's like, go find some worms. But thankfully, Google said that you could just give mush dog food. So that's what I did and put her on a heating pad. And I sent some healing energy and I asked her what was her purpose for being here? Because I didn't know what to do.
Yep.
And she's that I'm here to initiate a new path for you. And so and then she brought some issues to light, that like core beliefs that I needed to address. And so and also she wanted me to let go of outcomes because I'm all about outcomes. It's like, okay, I'm going to ask her, as the night went on, she looked normal. Like you could
Right.
see her
Okay.
breathing, and it's like, okay, I'm going to have hope, like she's going to be okay. And as the days went by and she started growing and feathers and everything, and actually another bird came as well, and I discovered that there was a little hole in the roof where the mother had crawled in, but I was scared that I might hurt that baby or the other babies trying to
Yeah. No, I get
put
you.
him back.
It's tricky.
And so anyways, they were like, I'm still not sure who this other being is. I'm sure that we will see them again. or him. And they were really close. They would, like, one would start scooching in the box and the other one would follow them, and they just cuddled. And so they did start growing feathers. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to ask them, do they want to stay or do they want to be released when it's time? And Angel told me that they would stay as long as necessary. So, I created this whole story. Okay, they're going to be flying around the house, and, they love sitting in my,
Yeah, I get what
yeah.
you mean. Yeah.
So, and they love sitting in my hands, and I would just like enclose my hands, and they would just like, it was a beautiful experience. And so, anyways, unfortunately, they were only with us for 9 days,
Blimey,
and that was heartbreaking.
that's really short. That's that's very short for the life of birds.
Yeah.
Yes. I get my
And so,
my dad owns an old farm, and he renovated it many years ago. It's had many problems over the years, but they have a whole bunch of stuff that nests in their barn every year. And due to the fact they've got cats and there's a bunch of other stuff around it, because it's a farm. You've got everything's around there. Foxes, there's owls, there's woodpeckers, and it's just a habitat for such great wildlife. But there's also the prey, and it's tricky because occasionally also because the nest in his barn, a bird would fall out the nest, and it's really tricky to put them back in because you're not really meant to muck around with them. But you out of the goodwill of nature, you have to put them in. But it's because of the mother's rejection. It's a very strange thing with birds. It's really fucking crazy. Like birds are a
yeah,
weird creature. How they can reject their own young if they've been manhandled or whatever before. It's very strange. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, you can't do it, but it's when if you return them back to their mother, they just have none of it in the wild. It's so strange. Sorry, again, carry on. It's a weird Tim Turner fact. I don't even know if it is a
well,
fact, but
well, I was thinking about that. It's like, are they really rejecting them because of the scent, or
yeah,
or are they rejecting them because they know that their baby belongs with that person?
yeah. Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? There's different levels, and no one's ever going
Yeah.
to understand it because you can't get in the mind of a bird. it's well, I'm not saying you know what I'm talking about. I mean, again, you talk to animals. I'm saying that metaphysically, you can't really go, hey, this is my brain, this is the bird's brain. We know exactly what we're talking about, 1,000,000%, in terms of emotional and constructual levels. Like,
I've,
it's just
it,
tricky. Again, I know exactly where you're coming from, because it's a weird one, because I get exactly where you're coming from, but it's strange. But one thing I will say is I love your website. Absolutely love it. And this
thank
was where
you.
I was going to get talking into about the animals, is because I normally set my show up into weird segues, but you just broke all protocol and full stormed ahead, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, but it also gave like a good amount of time. I was like, holy shit, to get me intrigued. It really got me like intrigued on the level. But I do love your website. The services, amazing. Like, there's some really cool free ones. They work up in different levels. Um, but this is how when I looked upon doing my investigations upon yourself and research investigations, make it sound like I'm a fucking private detective. Like doing the investigations, yeah, doing the PI work. I was like, oh, there's a lot of animal stuff, and I was like, this is really cool, because when I naturally thought about what you'd first did and when we first spoke, I never imagined animals coming into it. And then obviously when I did my research after, it was like, oh, here's another dimension, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And it adds a greater dimension as well. Um, it like the weird the animal thing I love because it's very niche. It's something that is. Again, man, I've owned loads of animals. I'll sit there and talk to my cats all day long. I'm a big cat lover, and I talk to them all day long, and I know what they're saying, to the point where I'll talk back and I'll go, listen, bitch, this ain't happening. You're not jumping on my belly. You're not pawing at my belly button. It's not happening. and I'll get a meow back as if I'm coming on you. It's not happening. You're not jumping on me. You know, we know the levels, and you know, it's a thing where it's never really like spoken about a lot. It's a weird topic, like people talking to animals and being able to communicate, because it is a genuine skill. The fact that, you know, there's people out there that are elite dog trainers, and all they have to do is mention minor syllables or grunts, and that dog knows what's going on. Like I had a friend years ago that had again, she was very small. She was like 5'4", very small, and she had a huge bull mastiff who was a monster. And he was big, but he was the most harmless dog in the world. Up until she would go, "Hey, this is you know what I mean." And it was a guard trained dog, because she was a small female, and it's just crazy how there is an understanding, and it's a very strange path between the communication between humans and animals. But we've been doing it for tens of thousands of years. You know, it's there. It's just some people know how to communicate. Some people want to spend too much time on the phone. You know? That's
Yep,
what it is.
absolutely true.
But no, so obviously your services and what you do, what made you really choose? I mean, obviously you said, you know, the mild story, you know, but how did you really get into it? Like, where did you go, hey, this is really what I want to do? You know, this is like, oh, I can do this. Like, there's a certain crux in a moment where you go, oh, I get it now. This is what I want to do. And you solidify it as a foundation of yourself almost.
Okay, so do you mind if I just backtrack briefly?
No, that's all good. That's completely fine. Okay. Backtrack.
So they left us after 9 days, and so I'm trained in different modalities, and I've worked one-on-one with healers to try to like really clear my trauma, and it's been like a lifelong theme of, you know, like being used and abused. And so nothing worked. And I've been able to access my past lives and people's and now animals for a while, but I didn't know how to clear it. And so Angel arrived like after I started creating a technique to clear past lives last year. And so after sitting for like a month and a half doing breath work and clearing these past lives, I started offering complimentary sessions. Like, I had been trying to get my business going for 4 years, and I didn't have the confidence.
Okay.
And so when she arrived November, her identity was top secret. And the reason is, a few of the reasons was, she didn't want to be named Angel for the 4th time. You know, her name was Angel when she was a male cat, because I was like so excited she was back. And also, we started our journey when she was my mirror. And now that I'm stepping into my power, she wanted me to see her for her authentic self. Like, these other incarnations, she was playing a part to move me forward. And so, you know, people give animals like so many great gifts, but one of the greatest gifts that they can give their animal is to heal themselves, step into their power, because then the animals can. They don't feel it. Well, I mean, they want to assist us, but they no longer are carrying our baggage. They're no longer being our mirror, because that's no longer needed. And so last year I really focused on creating this program, and people and animals can shift really quickly because we're going to the source of the problem. And so originally I was working with the subconscious and inner child, and with my new technique we're able to go through the back door to the origins, and those are usually thousands of years ago for people. I'm not sure with animals at the moment, because their focus is assisting their person to heal more so than themselves. And so that's when things like really shifted, and I was able to step in my power last year. And and I'm all about the animals. So all my work is for people and their animals. And, you know, we can assist the animal to heal, but if you're not moving forward like the animal wants you to, they're going to have the issues again. That's just the bottom line. And, you know, if you don't heal your physical issues, which are usually based in emotional issues, then your cat's going to get sick again. Or and so I've noticed that animals, they can tap into the past lives, that they're ready for their person to heal. And so they may act strange, they may get sick, because animals are so intelligent. And when I first began my journey, I believed that we were here to assist the animals. And that's not true. They actually take care of us.
Yeah, no,
And they see,
it's definitely a you know, it's a twofold relationship, isn't it? It's tricky as to who looks after who, because we need them, but they also kind of need us. You know,
right.
we need to eat them, but if we didn't domesticate them, they'd all get eaten by predators. Like, if we didn't come up with agriculture and really muck around with the environment, it'd be a really tricky thing to navigate. Most animals would have been wiped out by the huge extreme predators and, you know, huge prey. Yeah, no, predators. And something like the fucking prey. What am I talking about? Sorry.
Yeah. And, I think they choose their path. Like, if they want to be wild, if they want to be astray, if they want to be with us, um, it's whatever they choose to fulfill their mission and for their soul growth. So, um, yeah, they see the larger picture of our lives. They're here to raise the vibration and assist Mother Earth to ascend, and us as well. And so they're very powerful. And like I said, they can manifest. I have um, I have 5 cats and a dog. However, one recently transitioned, and he transitioned at the end of January. So the the last Wednesday, late that night, all of a sudden he was just like really sick. And he was about 18. He'd only been with us for
That's
3 years.
it's a good age though.
Yeah,
It's pretty good. It's a good age,
yeah,
18. I
yeah.
can't
He was
work out
being
what that is in dog years, but
I know.
that's a lot. It's definitely in the three-figure sum.
Yeah, he was
Not
being
imagine.
rehomed.
Sorry,
Yeah.
go on, carry on.
He- Sorry. He was being rehomed at 15. And so as time went on, he was like super skinny. There was nothing I could do for him. It was just age. And so when I checked in, he said his time was near. And just like when I'm having a conversation with you, if I don't completely understand, like, you'll correct me. And I was waiting for that correction, and it never came.
Right,
And
okay.
so then he requested that my son was there to say goodbye. He was almost 8. And it worked out. Like, I was so upset. I couldn't even get up and get my son ready. And so I explained to my son, and this is for your listeners that may be going through the same thing. I explained that his name was Mo, and I explained that his body was in pain and he needed help going to heaven. And so he was brave enough to say goodbye. And so the way he dealt with his grief was we would call in Mo, and oh shoot. It says my phone is overheating.
Overheating.
Zoom is causing your phone to overheat. Shoot.
What's it running off? There we go, people. Messaging and texting right now as we speak. I'll do a mid edit of this. My eyes look so weird. I look like I've got Millhouse eyes. I don't know what's going on with that. Some vibrations going somewhere. That's not for that. I'll have to do a little pause. So again, we're back with Brittany AC. This is why I do the show, people. It's very funny. You probably won't get this version, but during the time where I was trying to decipher stuff, I was doing all this kind of charade shit with my hands. It was pretty epic and amazing. It was very good. This is how the show works. I believe it is the loosest show on the internet for this reason, because I don't edit. I don't do fuck all. I edit out the dead air. That's it. If there's no talking, that's it. It's dead air. Um, so let's get back into what you do. Um,
Okay.
Obviously, we was talking briefly about the back end of the story. With I think we was sort of at the fourth reincarnation of Angel. We went on a bit from there. And how did you then again? Then I spoke about your website a little bit. Um, how did you manage to come up with like? Because again, I love your website. How did you manage to come up with the different services that you have? Because that's what it really amazes me is like breaking that stuff down. It, I mean, if I was to do podcasting promotions, I would be like, huh, I don't know where to go from this level to this level to this level, and then but you have a very wide spectrum of different sort of plans and levels, and it's very it's very cool. You know, I love it. It's something that I've never ever seen before, and it's again, like I said prior, it really intrigues me.
Well, thank you. So it's just developed over time as I've practiced, and I'm going to be offering a new service. So um, when Mo transitioned, it was Thursday morning of the end of January, and so on Friday I had made plans to just grieve for the next 2 weeks. I was devastated. I couldn't keep it together. And everyone that has lost an animal, a fur baby, knows that the grieving process is very long and painful.
Yep.
And Mo had other plans. Like out of the blue, he gave me an exercise to release the grief at a cellular level. And an hour and a half later, I didn't feel that devastation. I didn't feel that desire to just lie in bed and cry for the next 2 weeks. And I still do not feel that devastation. And that's huge. I'm sad he's gone. And um, so I'm going to start including that to heal, to release like core emotions that are stuck in our body. So, you know, like once we experience trauma, usually beginning in a past life, it creates an energetic blueprint. And so that every time people incarnate, every time animals incarnate, it's attracting similar situations and experiences until it's healed. And so that's why it's so challenging to heal, because every time we incarnate, it morphs, it intensifies, it
No,
gets
that
more
makes
deeply.
sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I get that.
And so not only do we have past lives running in the background, we also have stuck emotions in our body in the chakra systems. And so we're radiating into the universe, these lower frequencies. And so, for example, some of core beliefs could be I'm a mistake, I'm a failure, I have no control over my life. And so um, one of my strengths is clairvoyance, sight. And so like I could see it. Like when I did the journey, I was taken to my knees and I could see the frequency radiating throughout my body and into the universe. And so um, that's really challenging to step into your confidence and fulfill your dreams. So um, my goal for this year is to manifest the resources and people to open non-kill healing ranches internationally for the abused and forgotten souls. And so I can't be everywhere. I can't do one-on-ones with everyone. And so I've been in the process of recreating my one-on-ones into a group session, and it's almost complete. So I'm really excited. And so that's really where I'm headed so that I can assist on a higher level. And I've also noticed that during group sessions, animals are more willing to go on their own journey and heal instead of focusing on their person. So I did a practice session with a woman and her 3 dogs, and I just had her hold space as, that was kind of like the first step in developing
Yep.
the group healing session. And so she has 3 3 rescues. And her goal when she adopts an animal is to adopt the quote unadoptables. And so one's been with her for 3 years, another for 7, and another for 10. And so they've obviously been with her for a bit. And so I just had her hold space. And one of the dogs, he was scared to go on the journey. So we did a little bit of energetic work. And she saw shifts like during the session and after. They all felt happier, safer. And one of the dogs that had been with her for 7 years, every day he would wake up and pace in front of the window on guard. And he no longer does that. And that was just after like one practice session.
Wow, that's fucking
so great. Yeah, I'm really excited. So the name of the program is Mystical Soul Journey with Your Fur Babies, because
that's a great name.
you know, thank you. Like one can't heal and not the other. Like they're partnerships. And so anyways, I'm incorporating all kinds of techniques, and I feel like people and animals have suffered so long. Like I am offering everything in that program to really expedite the healing. I'm not saying, oh, here's the first aspect, here's the second aspect. I really want people and animals to expedite their healing. And so anyways, last week I did kind of like a practice launch because I've never done that before. And before I began, I received the message like, no matter the outcome, just show up and do it because it's going to propel you forward. And so anyways, my healing up leveled. One of my cats showed me how to activate like the animal's dormant abilities. And they can also bring in like codes and activations.
So this is what really intrigues me, but I know there's so many levels to it that I couldn't even like, I look into a lot of stuff, and this is where I'm like, I mean, because I know there's a lot in vibrations and frequencies as well. Same with like crystals and all that stuff. There's tons to it. It's like 432 is meant to be the ideal frequency for, harmony and whatever, and there's whatever it is for the, but obviously everything works on those levels. And one thing that I recently came across while listening to a bunch of documentaries and podcasts was that when we actually take in auditory, just audio, whenever we take that in, it's just vibrational waves. There's no real sound there. It's just decoded by our brain, which I was like fascinated. I was like, really? It's hard to believe, because even as I'm talking right now with my headphone half off, I can hear my voice and it's projecting out there. But however, it doesn't really naturally exist. It's just that everybody also in this house and me is taking it in sort of vibrational frequencies and outputting it in an almost fucking rate that you can't imagine, to the point where we all hear it. We're the most fastest processors in the whole world. Like there's nothing faster than us. It's strange when you get to computers and stuff, but realistically, when you think about that, the fact that we take in an information and it's all vibrations, there's no sound there, it's just vibrations, and it comes into our head and we hear it like on point. We hear it real time. That's what opens me up to the things with animals as well, because I'm like, hey, there's clearly, if that is the case, and it is, there are a lot of people out there that are going to have fucking weird, like, not going to say they're mutants, but you know what I'm saying? If you was to put it to if you was to put it to what it would be, there are people out there that can do certain things. I've got 3 toes on my right foot. I could be a mutant in some fucking aspect, You put me in a crowd, you put me with 99 people that have all got 10 toes, I'd be a mutant. They're like, who's that fucking weirdo? Who's talking a bunch of shit? We need to get him out of here. But, it's the same thing. It's well, it's not, but It is to me. You know, there's certain things and we just don't get. We're never going to understand. And the fact that I recently learned that and was like, oh, okay, well that kind of opens up a lot of boundaries. Because if it's all just frequencies and a bunch of stuff that we're all decoding, well, who's to say that some of us haven't got a different bunch of encryption keys in our head that are decoding stuff a different way? You know, it's a very weird thing. I look at stuff very strange. I look at stuff from a technological and also a weird point of view, almost a conspiracy point of view, in a way. Some would say. Some would say. Some would say, anyway.
Yeah, knowledge just opens the doors.
It
So much.
But it really does, because it's something that you never think about, and you go, huh? And even now, I can still overhear myself talking, and it's like, but it's just a bunch of signals in the ethos. It's just going and coming back, and we're decoding it in, you know, nanoseconds of time. And it's like, well, if we're doing that, what else is going on? The whole bunch of stuff's got to be going on. You know, it's got to be. It's impossible for it not to.
Absolutely.
Are you a history fan? Or like a? You seem like. I mean, I'm a pagan, so I'm a big fan of like ancient myths and history, and you know, you seem that kind of person. You know, yeah.
I haven't really studied that so much. It's kind of just whatever happens.
Okay.
You know, like wherever my path leads me.
That's a very good way. That's probably the best way.
I'm really connecting with Egypt right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, we spoke about that, and you said you had a virtual tour. What was that like? Was that pretty cool?
It didn't work out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What?
So,
Okay.
hopefully later, but it's okay because I'm in the process of working on my Akashic Records certification.
Yep.
So right now I can just kind of explore it in reference to personally, you know, because there's, you know, all the knowledge and then there's also like our personal experiences.
Yep.
So I'm just going to do that for the time being, but it's opening that connection.
I mean,
so
I've always wanted to go to Egypt. It's a subject that has fascinated me for a very long time. I talk about it on my show a lot because what I got taught about Egypt when I was in school turned out to be a bunch of bullshit by the time I become an adult. And then I was like, oh, well, and that again opened my mind, and the spectrum just went on and on. And I do want to go there. It's there's a lot going on there. It's a shame about all the wreckage and destruction that got caused. I think like 3 years ago now. But that is what it is. That's history. That's what we do. We find things, if they ain't up to scratch with what we believe in, we destroy them. It's what we do.
yeah,
But it is a big shame. I mean, it is a big shame. But I've always, I mean, the desert sands are so vast and wide. You don't know what's out there yet. So trust me, I'd go there. There's still more to come. I'd actually take a trip out there. It'd be better than doing a virtual.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I mean, you're in Arizona anyway, aren't you? And that's pretty hot, I'd imagine. It's
well,
like
I'm in
country, isn't it?
I'm in northern Arizona, so we have the four seasons. It actually snowed yesterday. That's why I'm wearing a hat. I was in the car, and then you know, hat hair wasn't going to take it off.
Well, it snowed here today, surprisingly, which is very bizarre. I think
you didn't tell me.
I think Russia's turned the weather machines on this month.
Oh, you're in Russia?
No, I'm in the UK. I was just saying that it was a really poor joke at the fact of, like, there's been so many storms and Russia's going to war at the minute. It was a terrible, poor joke about the fact that there's some big military capabilities out there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in Russia. God, no, not right now. Oh, I'd have been drafted. You joking? Like they're boots are on ground at the minute. Apparently, I wouldn't want to be there right now. They're going out to Ukraine. So obviously, here's again. I like to get into. I like to like delegate little segments to what you do, talk about things, and then I like to get like a 3D personality view of like who you are, because it's very tricky over Zoom. So if you got any kind of hobbies, like obviously you're into animals, and you know you're totally on board with all that. But have you got any other hobbies outside of that?
Well, I'm in the process of manifesting a home near the ocean.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, anyways, the last 3 months, I've been guided to clearing some trust issues, and just a couple days ago, I was given the go ahead. It's time to manifest. So I'm focusing on that. I'm like so excited to be near the ocean.
Yeah,
That's going to open.
that's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously a ranch, so we can start rescuing the babies, the fur babies, and offer healing to the people.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really time for everyone to step into their power and assist others to do so. You know, it's so.
Go on, carry on. Sorry, I'll let you finish your sentence.
I was going to say it's so easy to define ourselves by our fears and our traumas, but it's really time. It's an end of the cycle, and we have to clear our past lives. Otherwise, we're going to wind up on another planet and be stuck in this mess again. And like, I sure don't want to, because Mother Earth is ascending. Like, we have
the thing. I mean, I'm totally on board with what you're saying. It's the whole reason we have to go to another planet, because I mean, well, not necessarily. I mean, some people say we've ruined all the ecosystem, and I mean, we have 100%. I think most of the damage has been done on the oceans. 100%. Like, due to the fact of sewage, raw waste, plastics, heavy fucking toxins. There's a whole list. I think this is my own personal view. I think most people don't even know that the Amazon is man-made. Like, it took a while, but the Amazon was a man-made rainforest. It was never there at all. Over several hundred generations and tribes and a bunch of trading and planting and agriculture. It's man-made. It was the biggest man-made rainforest in the whole of the world. Unfortunately, right now we're cutting it down like a bunch of selfish pricks. But it's one of them. It's also like, it's very tricky with global warming, because we need, like, carbon is what plants need, and there's more carbon in the world right now, which is making plants grow bigger, which is great. But it's also raising the temperature of the world, breaking all the ice caps and doing a bunch of damage. It's so tricky to navigate geopolitics. It's strange. I don't really talk about it that much, because I don't know too fucking much about it, but it's like crazy. You know, that's all I got to say. before I dig myself into some cavern.
I'm not saying like we're going to move to another planet. Mother Earth is healing.
Yeah, it is healing. No, that's my point. It is healing. It's very tricky. It's weird.
Yeah.
We have got X amount of time, but we are in a process at the minute. I think we're in an uptake. And again, I will say this one thing. I don't mean to cut you off again. But there's certain times in history where, when there was global warming, there was also an increase in agriculture and crops. So in doing so, it would make more wealth, because we could grow more food, we could produce more. So it's very tricky, but also there's a bunch of rising sea levels. It's so hard to negotiate. Do you want to lose 4 towns, or do you want the centres to be flourishing? You know, as a government, it's hard to manipulate that. You can't. But sorry, carry on.
Well, I mean, it's forcing everyone to like raise their consciousness to heal.
Oh, it does.
And you know, if you don't choose to heal with Mother Earth, you may go to another planet, because like, we're on the other side when we choose our lives, and it's like, okay, you know what, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And if you don't accomplish it, then that may be your choice. Okay, I'm going to go to this other planet that's ready to ascend. I'm going to go through the cycle all again, like
Yep.
eons, eons. And like it's so long and painful because we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the security to heal. Like, you get burned at the stake.
Yeah.
And so, like, now's the time. It's like, it's so important.
It is a
And
very, I mean, a lot of people are for like modern advancement. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I mean, the prospect and the thought of going to another planet's cool as fuck. But let's be realistic. There's going to be a bunch of cannibalism. It's going to be a mess. First of all, when you're going to get there, and if you get there, it's going to be terrible. Like, you don't know what's going to go on. You don't know the environment, the climate. You don't even know if you're going to survive. I think 9 times out of 10, it's going to literally succumb to cannibalism. Like, it's crazy. That's my own thought on it. If I'm going into space with 6 other people and it turns out we all get lost at space, sorry people, I'm going to end up eating you. Like, it's survival of the fittest. I don't mean to be rude, but at some given moment there's going to be a mutiny, and I'm going to end up feasting on you like a king to make sure that I'm the survivor, because that's what it is, and that works over a grander scale as well. I'm not saying I'd necessarily do that because I probably wouldn't, but there are people out there that would think like that and go, well, because it's history. That's what there are. There's tyrants and
yeah,
kings who would just pillage the nation. And it's the same. If you're going to go into space and colonize somewhere, there's going to be one dickhead in the background that goes, oh, maybe I'm going to take this for myself in a couple of weeks, you know? And it's going to happen. There's always going to be some fucking idiot. There's going to, out of 100 people in a room, there's always going to be one stupid person. Probably more than that. I can't put any scale to that. There's always going to be one that's going to ruin it. It's going to ruin the party.
yeah. And the thing is it may not be like going to outer space and colonizing. You may like choose to reincarnate in a different form on another planet. I don't know. It just like, but there's a good chance that because we choose to go through what we do here, that they're going to want to complete the cycle.
Yep.
And they're going to have to go through eons again. And,
Well,
start.
that is a good point about it as well, is that, this is where I love getting these conversations on the go, because, people like cosmic forces are something that I don't really understand. Nobody can really understand, but it's a thing. There's a lot of stuff out there that we don't even see. The way in which animals work on different wavelengths. You fucking blow a dog whistle. No one's hearing that but the dog. Because that's what he's tuned to do. That's his level. He hears better things. He sees better things. He's on a different dimension to what we are. Same for everything else. A bird could... I don't even know what dimension a bird's on. That motherfucker flying around the sky overhead. God only knows what dimension they're on. The same for worms underground. Most people, when they talk about different dimensions, they just talk about humans and the fact that we just go left, right, up, down. And that's it. Well, a fucking earthworm goes every way he wants to. He goes all over the place. He makes his own rules and paths. But that's the most smallest being under the fucking... It's worthless. It's a worm. But
No, it's worthless.
but you know what I mean. It's not worthless. But what I'm saying is, in terms of the hierarchy of intelligence, we deem that as nothing. It's just a worm. It's not, because if there was no worms, there'd be no fertilizer. There'd be no mushrooms would ever occur. There'd be no fucking fungi. There'd be a lot of stuff that wouldn't decompose, because worms are a huge component in sorting out stuff. In terms of just chomping stuff up, shitting it out. But the point is that worms move on a level that we can't comprehend. They spend half of their lives under the ground in solid blackness, just working their way through soil. Like, we wouldn't even be able to comprehend that. If we tried to do that, oh my God, we'd lose the plot. We'd lose it all. The people that get buried alive accidentally back in the day, and they had to have a little bell. Ding, ding, you accidentally buried me alive. They lost their plot within 10 minutes. Imagine being an earthworm. It's a different dimension that we don't think about.
Yeah.
Do you get what I
I
mean? It's a
understand.
very weird thought, you know?
Yeah, there's people that are like, we're the superior being. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And like that's not true. Everything has an essence, even like rocks,
Oh yeah.
like trees, the water, and they're so powerful.
Well, rocks grow moss. Moss just doesn't appear on the rock out of nowhere. It comes out of the rock and forms into it. The same for, I can't remember how it's pronounced. It's that sort of bluey green stuff that forms and it takes a hell of a long time. Lichen, like lichen or whatever it is. Um,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? It's like greeny blue. Takes so long to form. And I remember being a kid and I picked up a rock and I was like, oh wow, look at all this stuff. And it was like really tall. It was like that. And I got a
Uh-huh.
bollocking from my dad. He was like, whoa, don't do that. It took hundreds of years to do that. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. And it's how I first learned
Yep.
about it. I was like, holy shit, really? He was like, yeah, that's really, because of how big it was. He was like, it took ages, that has. Leave it be. But it was just, I found it fascinating as a kid, early young boy. Because you touch everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I first started my animal communication course, we spoke to a body of water in a grotto. And we were taught to ask their personality. And whenever I ask an animal its personality, I can like feel it. I can feel their essence. And she was such a beautiful soul. And she was just, her purpose was to send healing from that location where she was. But yeah, it's amazing when you can connect.
Have you ever had, connect, I mean, like I say, you've done connected down like generations of animals and then done the almost the reverse. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the impression that I get is that animals also can bring out the past of yourself, is what you're saying as well.
They can access the past life that needs
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
cleared.
That's.
Mhm.
I'm glad that's the exact train that we're on. So it's crazy because I mean I've always one thing that I love about animals is that they take on the personalities of their owners, like
Mhm.
dogs, cats. Cats take on a lot, and so do dogs. I've never had any other animals that do. Um, well, I don't know, man. That lizard was a piece of shit. He was a pretty piece of big trash. Hmm. Sorry, I was thinking about an old lizard then. It was ruthless. He used to spit at me and stuff. But thinking about it, naturally in that time, I wasn't a good character. I'm like, oh, they'd take after. I was like, okay, no. He was
Well,
a,
maybe it's nearing you because they're all about moving you forward, whatever it takes.
Yeah, he did. He used to. I had three bearded dragons, two females and a male, and I split them off. And occasionally, I'd just get a couple of pregnant, and I wasn't necessarily a breeder because it never worked. The male would always find a way to stamp all over the eggs, which is tragic. I put so many barriers in place, but he was a smart motherfucker, which is why, again, I believe that he took after sort of traits of myself because in terms of planning, I'm great. I feel, I can't say I'm going to rob a bank, but if I was to plan it out for somebody else to do it, might work pretty well. To the point where that lizard would just try and break out all the time, and they take after personal human traits, I believe. You know, the latest cats that we have, one of them is super inquisitive and loves running around, fucking shit up. Uh, but the other one's very promiscuous, So I'm not exactly sure where that comes from. It's very strange for a cat to be promiscuous. Like he just seems to spend his whole time just licking himself and fucking around. But what he does is he gets really close to you. Like he wouldn't do it on the other side of the room. He'll come right up, like lie on your chest, and just it's a very strange moment where a cat tries to lick his butthole when he's lying on your chest. And there's a moment where you're at the wrong angle and he falls back and then there's like a tail and you're like, whoa, and it's all coming at your face, and it happens, and it has happened. It's a true story. Right. You ever had anything that happened like that? I mean, you've had really tricky. You deal with animals all the time. I'd imagine there's a whole bunch of stories that are probably weirder than that. You ever had anything like that?
Um, no, no.
Yes. You're probably more the animal whisperer than me. Again, I said about it at the start of the show. You know, you're communicating with animals. I'm probably there talking to them and thinking that they're talking back to me, but it's just schizophrenia at my end, you know?
No, that's
Not skill. That's a
why.
joke, by the
Like
way.
comes through, like that's the hardest part is animal communication, is trusting that you're not making that, especially when it's with when you're connecting with your own animals. And so
Yeah, no,
that is,
these do connect. Trust me, they do connect.
oh
Most
yeah,
of what I say is all jokes in my head. It's not. I say it's a joke, but it's not. Only I find it funny. You know, it's like a personal joke that I'm writing for myself. You
yeah.
know, so really, no really bad experiences with animals. It's crazy because I once held a rat snake and it bit me on the hand, and that was terrible. I didn't even do anything to it. I didn't even aggravate it. I was like, I went into again, I said earlier, my dad had a farm, and down the road from that was a pet store that used to deal with all sorts of stuff, and they had reptiles in there. And I went in there one day, and they had a rat snake that was really cheap, and it was like 20,
Mhm.
£20 or something like that. And I was like, I'll have a look at that. I've never owned a snake. And he got it out, and the timing was great because I was like, oh, let's have a look. Does it bite? And by the time I'd ended the sentence, midway through, it bit me on the finger. And they just looked at my hand like that. And I was like, I don't want your snake. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want that snake, mate. I'm chuck it back in. I ain't having a rat snake. He was like, it was normally all right. I says, now get out of here, mate. Bullshit. Just bit me on the hand. Didn't even do anything. I was so calm. Just put my hand out like that, just to let it slither over my fingers. And it just went straight on my finger. Like, you prick. I was trying to be calm in this situation, but deep down I was like, oh, goddamn snake. Why would I want to bite you?
Well, he probably did not belong with you because,
No, he probably didn't. He probably didn't belong anywhere apart from in the wild. He was a rat snake. He's
well, the
probably
thing
pissed
is
off
that,
in general.
yeah, well, that's probably true as well. But like, if animals are supposed to be with a certain person, they will misbehave. And like, so when Angel, her name's Mystique now, so she was adopted, and like I'm ready to move. And so I had like 4 cats and a dog, and finding rentals is kind of challenging with that many fur babies. And so I was not going to adopt an animal. That was like the last thing on my mind. And so she was adopted a half an hour from where I live, and she was really mean to the other cats. And so this woman gave the cat to my landlord, and to see if it would work out with her group. And so my landlord has 4 dogs and 2 cats. Well, it didn't work out, and no one wants to see an animal go to a shelter. And I was like,
No,
well,
so I don't know.
let's see if she works out with my 4 cats and a dog. She couldn't get along with that one cat. And so, anyways, um, that night she spent the evening in the closet, and she came down during the night, and I sat with her, and my dog and one of my cats was inside, and I knew that they wouldn't approach her. And so um yeah, she was fine the next day because she belonged with us. So they're going to do whatever it takes to come into your life. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't exactly against the rat snake. It was just one of them moments. Can you give me 2 seconds? I've just got to take a quick phone call. Hold on. I didn't even know my phone was on. Bear with me 2 seconds. I'll have to edit this out. 3507. Hello? Hold on, mate. Sorry, I've got headphones. 2 secs. Hello? Oh yeah, give me a sec. Can you just give me 15? Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. So just
If you want to,
yeah.
can you just give me 15? I've got someone at the door. Sorry. Bear with me. I'll say if you want to go for a quick wee, grab a drink, it's all good. Bad boy. You still there?
Okay.
Just give me 2 seconds.
That's fine.
So I was gonna call a quick intermission because just because I wanted to go for a quick piss anyway, and then I was gonna have a quick 5 second smoke in between that. I normally about an hour mark just call that, just for my own editing purposes. So just give me about 3 minutes, and I should be back good to go. Here's something I was going to get into with the shamanic stuff. Have you ever done ayahuasca or anything like that?
No.
Have you not? Is it not anything you've ever
No.
looked into?
I've heard of it, but I have not.
What's your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'll have to Google it when we get off the phone.
A Googleable moment.
Yeah, I love doing research, so I will check into that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the other reasons I love doing my show is just for research. Is because occasionally you just get snippets of information that you know nothing about, and then you go, "Oh, wow, that's really
Right.
interesting."
Right.
That's why I always ask people about history because I'm a big fan. I think that's a component to the world. Yeah, just give me 2 minutes. Let me just again, if you're a smoker, go for one now. It's perfect timing.
I'm good. I don't smoke, but thank you.
No, I always provide a smoke break for my guests. More so for me, but you know. That and the fact that I've got a bummed up knee. That CBT does works wonders for my fucked up leg. Mr. Cat. Look at this bad boy, look. Ooh, it's a pedigree cat
Who
right
is this?
here. Wow.
Who is it?
Take my mic, man. Blimey. Yeah, that's my cat.
Yeah, I didn't hear their name.
Oh, his name, Oreo.
Oreo.
Oreo, yeah, I like the biscuit. Yeah,
How many cats do you have?
just 2. Oreo and
Okay.
Luna.
Oh, I love Luna. I was going to name Mystique that, but that wasn't her name.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. I mean, he's like a fat boy, and she's really thin, but it's a weird dynamic between the two. It's very strange. So, anyway, back on the show. I had to take a weird moment there, folks, to deal with a bunch of drug dealers, because that's what I do in my spare time. I sell drugs to kids. That's what I do. That's where I went. I sold a bunch of heroin to a bunch of 7-year-olds right then. So I had to do that, people. Again, that's totally what I did, if you want to believe that, because that's what people do nowadays, it seems. No, getting back to the point, all fuckeries aside. Here's a real question. I wanted to get into it much later on in the episode, so I didn't know what the actual answer was. Obviously, Brittany AC. What does the AC stand for?
Animal communicator.
Ah, man. It was me thinking it was air conditioning. Jesus,
That's
I
a good
was
one, too.
way off on that. That's crazy. That's really good. God damn, why didn't I think of that? Do you know what's... I literally went through... I'm not going to lie, I put a piece of paper out earlier and tried to think as many ACs as I could. And not once did I come up with animal communicator. I didn't think about that at all. Can I... Oh, I need to take a pause of the mic. There's going to be a kettle going off. I just took a break as well. I should have wished it had been done during that time. Now means I've got to do dead air again. Don't worry, my camera's not frozen. That's going to be a face I'm going to pull during this whole time. I'm not actually going to edit it. I'm just going to pull this face. It's okay. We'll get into the real side of the podcast. The kettle. 44:18. Journey, you ever played Battleships? You ever played that? Great game. You ever seen the film? It's terrible. I wouldn't... Could you imagine that there was a film based upon a board game where all you do is reveal letters and go B4? And then there was a blockbuster film built upon that board game where a bunch of people were going up against some aliens going, hey, we're going to sink your battleship. You've just had food, Cat. No, he's just had some food. Again, he's coming around here hunting for food. That's what he does. Yeah, well, he just come and try to get it from me. Do you ever drink much? You're fond of drinking? Or happy face smiley stickers. They're so good. You know. Sorry, people and folks out there. I took a 10-minute break. 15 minutes. And like the whole world decides to go to shit, it just happened right there. There was multitudes of minutes, 15 specifically, and then 2 minutes into showtime, people want to do stuff. I'll be glad when my studio isn't flooded. Let's really get back to the fucking show for the 3rd time before I decide to do some sort of crazy American style shoot up and fucking annihilate everybody. So the AC was for, I'll let you say it again,
For animal communication.
animal communication. So what's your real last name? Are you just gonna or are you just gonna go by the alias and pseudonym? Because that's what I would do. I would just go by the pseudonym. You know, my real name's Tim Turner, and it's the exact same name as a kid who had fairy godparents who were two fish in a bowl. Remember that show back in the day?
Two fish.
Yeah, fairy godparents. These the fish in the bowl, and wow, finally someone doesn't know that. Oh my god, shit! This is a moment in history where I might actually. Oh my god, this is groundbreaking. I might be actually on the point of of a convergence of my life.
What's the name of the show?
I'm not going to mention it again. No, it was basically there was a show on Nickelodeon called Fairly Godparents, and it was about a kid who had two goldfish who were basically fairies who would I don't mean gay people. I mean like they were, they were granting wishes, and you know that's my name. That's why that's why I go by my name rather than a pseudonym, because I want to relate to an old show on TV.
Oh, I'll have to look it up. Yeah, I haven't heard
It's
of that one.
crazy. It seemed it's well, it is what it is. It's not something to live by. It's not like a credence. But I do think that I should sue them at some point. But it's good that you choose to do a like a pseudonym, and do the AC, because that's how people will always know you. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As the animal communicator.
That's right.
Yeah. So, what's the next steps for you? What would be your next goal? If you could plan any next 10 steps in your life, what would it be?
To move and to start meeting people that are ready to open the non-kill healing ranches.
Okay.
I know a couple of people in other countries, and I wrote a children's book and the sequel from like an animal communicator's perspective. And so I enjoy painting. I'm in the process of the illustrations, but they've kind of been put on hold. So I'd like to accomplish that as well. And so it's about bullying, because I feel like that's a huge issue in school. And my son is the main character, so he's excited about that.
Okay, cool.
I bring in our animals, and so they speak to him like I speak to the animals, and they offer like guidance. So
It sounds amazing. Like, honestly.
thank you.
No,
So
do you know what, the one thing I will say? I don't mean to cut you off again. You're so passionate about what you do. You know, again, to the point, you're writing a children's book, and it's again why I've been so intrigued the whole episode. Anyone that has a passion for what they do and care about something so much, it always works out. It will always be beneficial.
mhm.
So sorry, carry on. I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to.
That's fine. So yeah. So I have the first book, and then I have the sequel about the bully, and at some point, so I need to complete the illustrations. And at some point, I think I will share Mo's story in a book to assist explain to children around their animals transitioning, and the fact that so many people stay in grief about losing their animals, like I have, but they don't really want us to do that. And I've connected with people that it can be conscious or unconscious, that they feel like if they stop grieving, then they lose their connection. And if we can let that go, we can have that connection at a whole new level, a soulful level.
Well, I mean, this is something else that I believe in is that over fuck, I can't even speculate as to how many thousands of years because I don't know. But I truly believe at one given moment we was all very fucking all intertwined, and then over time, shit's just sort of diminished. You know, due to whatever existential reason. It could be anything. You know, and I believe that over time, like I said, you know, with animals, we used to domesticate animals all the time. And you know, husbandry was a fucking thing. You know, with bovines and whatever. Calm down, cat. Blimey, shit, man. This is what's crazy. Is I've now got a cat trying to throw me off guard. This is what you talk about animals and what they do. I'm trying to keep everything on point, and he's trying to do the exact same to what I'd do with him, is throw him off guard. Occasionally when he sleeps, I ruffle his feathers and I go, wah! He's trying to do it the exact same to me now. He's like, bitch, you're podcasting. I'm coming at you now. I want all the meat. I want all the biscuits. But no, you know, it's literally, I think, you know, thousands and thousands of years ago, we have this strong connection because even if you want to go back to Darwinism and go, well, evolutionary, we come from monkeys or whatever it was, and then go further back and ground shrews. Well, what are we but animals? You know? So why would we not have some sort of connection? Because, fuck, man, all the other animals connect. So why don't we? Well, there's that level of intellect, isn't there? That we've sort of gained and developed over years and years and years. Well, I mean, I'm just chatting shit. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist, but I would imagine that if the case of if the case of intellect gets greater, that we would lose more of a connection to the natural world. That would be my mild hypothesis. Is that the more we get, because you know, fucking. You know, well, monkeys are actually spearing fish, which is the greatest thing like lately. But you know, there ain't no dogs aren't talking on mobile phones. You know, they're not having conversation with. If I put a phone to a dog and got my friend to put his phone to his dog, they're not going to have a conversation over the phone. Even if we set them up for it, it's not going to happen. You know, and we're the only people. We're the only fucking animal on the planet that does that. You know, and I think the more and more we separate ourselves from nature is the more that we end up you know, almost losing it, you know, which is why again it's people this is another hot take of mine, is why people hate more free-spirited people. And the people that hate free-spirited people are the ones that are so heavily involved in technology. I'm not saying that's the way now, but that's been the way for a lot of years. I think it's kind of almost going on the backlash now because I've seen a lot of people get more involved in movements due to technology, such as the whatever it was going on in London where they're blocking fucking traffic with like just people. I can't remember what it is. Don't want to shout it out because they're actually not really helping anybody. They're just actually creating more oil and backlog, which is a problem. So well and good blocking a road, but you know when engines are sitting idle, they produce like 10 times more chemicals. Like, where's the logic in that? Like, let them drive. The chemicals are dispersed. It runs through the engine. If an engine's sitting idle, it produces probably about 10 times more chemicals, and it's sitting there, and it creates smog. So you're not doing anything, people. I said it months ago as well. Some crazy, nothing against women, but a crazy group of women decided to break a bunch of tempered glass windows, which were 10k a piece, which were, well, very hard to manufacture. Of course they needed replacing. It was on a bank. They broke a bunch of bank windows. Well, they need replacing because it's on a bank, because we need to protect it from people that are going to rob the bank and not smash the windows. So you've created more damage than good. So what you've had to do is you've just broke all the windows that cost a bunch of oil to make, and then we have to make them again, because otherwise you're going to lose your money in the bank, people. You know, so that's what we have to do. It's a weird. I don't think people think about stuff at the moment. It's very strange. It's my view.
Yeah.
It's my
You
view.
wonder about some people's behaviors. It's kind
Yeah,
of
I
funny.
look into behavior patterns a lot. It's not fun. It's but I look into my own also. I'm I don't just look into everybody else. I look into myself a lot, and I retrospectively I go, hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should be doing that. It could be the wrong thing to do. Taking patterns upon the environment and subculture and culture and going, oh well, this is not what's right and this is what's right. But you know,
Well,
you seem to
it
be
is.
up on the ball of things anyway.
I mean, it is important that we take self inventory
Oh, of course.
because when we change, it is for everyone else to change. It raises our frequency, theirs, and but yeah, being counterproductive is not helping anyone.
That doesn't get anyone anywhere, does it? It just turns into a grim dice scenario where we all suffer in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that is what it is. Not going to move on to some dire subjects. It's like I'm going to start talking about the end of the world right now, but I'm not going to. So what's some of your favourite animals? Again, you're a big animal lover. If you could, what is your very top of the tier animal? If you go, hey, this is my real favourite, what would you pick?
I don't have one
Really?
because
Okay.
no, because they all have just like a beautiful essence. So I've never had a pet rat. That's
They're
just not something I would do.
I've
But I
lived with
did
them.
communicate, huh?
I've lived with them in cages. I've lived with domesticated rats. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Get some.
Well,
They're actually really fun, to be honest.
yeah. I had the opportunity to connect with a female rat, and she was just like a beautiful soul.
Mm.
And like spiders freak me out, but they've like shown up and uh given me guidance and messages. And so it can like if you have fear of an animal, it can really turn things around when you communicate with them. Because we have like as a society, we have fear of the spiders. A lot of people snakes. Um, I was watching the show Swamp People.
Oh, I know that show. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good show.
I mean, like, I don't condone them shooting them in the head. However, if I
Yeah, no.
live there, I might be like, I have to protect my child. Like,
Yeah,
go in my like do it.
there's
But and,
moments.
like
There's moments.
crocodiles, alligators, they freak me out, and that's why I would never live on the East Coast. Like, you know, I was like researching that, and like Louisiana. Oh my God, they could
A,
wind up in
tw-
your
a
or
20
something.
a 24-foot alligator is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
I mean, it would swallow a man. So, and children don't stand the chance. And this is where I believe we should go. Hey, you don't. We need to sort you out. We need to put you somewhere, or you need to sort you. We need to give you a bunch of food, and you just need to live your life because if you
yeah,
come on our grounds, we're going to take you out. Especially on golf courses, like you say, they love golf courses. Those alligators.
yeah. And so, like, while I was watching that show, um, a gator connected with me while I was doing healing work. And, um, the message was like, go with the flow, like we do.
Oh,
How they
okay.
just like glide through the water. And he said that, we can assist you. You know how they do the death roll to gain momentum?
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
can bring that energy in, like during the healing to like manifest. Oh, and I forgot. So, like during my 12-week program, not only are we clearing issues, we're going to anchor in people's intentions, their dreams at a cellular level so that they can manifest it. They're radiating those frequencies of their dreams that they're ready to manifest.
Well,
just
even
came to. I just kind of went off track, but
no, it's
I'm
okay. I mean, I create segues. This is why I say it's the loosest podcast in the world, because it just goes where it goes. Occasionally, people put into stuff, and you just don't know where it is. You know, but it always
Yeah.
flows down the same track. I always try and keep it down the same path, even though it flows off on segues. But yeah, I mean, like some of the. I've had like spiders before. I've had lizards. I mean, I'm not a big fan of spiders, but I've always connected with animals. And, you know, I once found I've spoke about it on my show previously, as I once found a false widow spider in like my carport. And just because of safekeeping reasons, because there was a bunch of kids that used to play in there, I thought, I'm going to have to put this somewhere. And I was like, well, I don't really know where to release it. So I kept it in a tank and just fed it every once in a blue moon. And it lived in there for about 12 months. It lived for quite a long time, surprisingly. And, you know, I'd have ex-partners that come around my house and go, what's that in that tank? And it was like a small, maybe 12 by 3 sort of plastic tank. You know, what you'd maybe keep locusts in, what you'd feed to, you know, bearded dragons or whatever. And, you know, I'd just basically put the spider in there and it lived there for ages. It'd freak people out when they come round. They'd be like, what is that? And I'd be like, that's a false widow I caught the other month. I'd be like, it's amazing. Look at all the webs he's done. And then they go, them webs are up to the top. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not going to get out. And they're like, yeah, but it's going to, if it bites you, it's going to do some damage. And I'm like, yeah, but it's all good. and it's funny because the way I'd sleep on my side of the bed was it'd be always on their side of the bed. Like, I'd always be right close to the window with this narrow gangway. And then on the female side of the bed, it'd be this tank with this horrific spider in that looked like an alien. And it looked grotesque. It had a bunch of horrific diamond-like skulls on its back. Its legs were like pure pincers. And he loved it. He lived a dream. And I had to let him go eventually. I let him go into the carport when I moved, but he had a great time, you know. We loved it. He had a bunch of warmth. He had built his web structures were amazing. I mean, I think I've got a couple of photos of him somewhere, but it's just I've got to find them. They're just on a bunch of old damaged phones. But the web structures were fantastic. I was like, oh my god! Just because it was kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know if it was because he was looking for food, but I'd put stuff in there, and I don't know if he was making all these extra webs for food and building his way out, but. It was just amazing to look at. And again, I'd talk to him all the time. I'd wake up and I'd go, how's it going today, fella? I'll give you some flies in a bit. And I'd go out and find him a couple of flies that I caught in some other fucking web. And I'd tweezer it and put it in there. Like, just straight up. It's amazing. It was a weird level. Again, levels of communication. Speak about spiders. It was very, very strange. But it was a dynamic where if you bit me, I'm not exactly sure what had happened. It was it wouldn't kill me, but it'd hurt. I'd probably end up not being very friendly with him after. You certainly wouldn't be my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know if I can have. It sounds like it was a Black Widow.
No, it was a false widow. I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture later.
Widow?
Yeah, we have false widows in this country. It's like they're not they're a bit bigger. We've got 8 different species of them, I think. Surprisingly, we've got some horrific spiders in this country, and that's not even the worst kind that I've seen. One kind that I seen was years ago. I was lifting up some slabs, clearing out some garden, and in fact, I'd recently seen it again. But many, many, many years ago, I was cleaning up some slabs. I lifted up this slab and there was a bunch of these weird spiders that literally looked like pure leather. And there was about maybe that big, huge legs. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? Dropped the slab completely and then jumped all over it. Because I was like, I don't want you in my garden. And it was one of the only times I've seen it. But a couple of months ago, I was helping my friend do a garden clearance. And he had these vines that went all over these like you went into the garden, there was vines all over this wall, like in a square. And basically the homeowner wanted all the vines taken off. And as we was taking these vines off in this corner, we come across a nest of these bad boys. And I quit the job. I was like, I'm not having any of this. I had a hand saw in my hand that was going, and I mean tearing away stuff. But I was like, I ain't having any of this. Even with one of the world's deadliest weapons in my hand, facing against something that's 6 inches long, no fucking chance. Not a chance. You can get out of town. I don't want nothing to do with it. Just on that slight chance it jumps on me. No way. Not a chance. It was hella scary. I mean, as soon as I took it off, he was like, oh, stop being such a pussy. I was like, come and have a look at this, mate. I spoke about this a few times with you. And literally, we ripped it off. And I ain't joking, there was a nest of the bad boys. There was tons of them. It was like, oh, I ain't even doing that myself. It was like, I'm just going to burn it. I was like, all right, mate. You know, that was it. That was the end of the day. I think the following day, he come back and set fire to the bushes. It's what it needed. You know, it was terrible. I mean, it was nothing against spiders, but it was just, I don't know what they were. They were a weird form. I'll send you a picture. I've got pictures of these bad boys, and you'll go, oh, I don't know. Again, I'm an animal lover, people, but spiders, I don't know. Even in my own studio that's flooded right now, it's full of spiders, and I can see them. I look at the webs all the time, and I go, okay, I'm just going to leave you. I'm not going to clear the webs out. I'm just going to leave it to it. But one day, if I see one of those beasts in there, it'll be like that ending scene from Candyman. You know, where they do that big bonfire. That's what it'll be like, man. I'll be gone. See you later, spiders. You know, see you later. I'll take it all down to the ground. Jesus.
It's crazy how we're scared of just like these tiny little creatures.
Oh, yeah, because they fucking hurt. Look at them. They're demons, man. It is weird, though, isn't it? No, I get you. It's weird. They're so tiny. Yet in our brains, we're like freaked out.
Yeah.
It's weird. Maybe it's because a million years ago, they was like 12 foot tall. You know? And then over time, we've got stronger and powerfuler, and they've got smaller and smaller. You know?
Yeah.
That's what,
There's something there.
there's something. There's definitely something. I mean, I think dragons were real. You know, that's how deep down the rabbit hole I go. I think dragons were real at one point, and we was really fighting them. But it was just dinosaurs that we're just mistaken for mythical beasts. You know, ground sloths were real. Imagine a sloth that was bigger than a man, burrowing tunnels that a car could get through. The fuck is that shit? A sloth that's burrowing holes that's car worthy? What the hell is that? You can drive a car through it. If that was real, dragons were definitely on board, man. I think a lot of myths and legends have recreated over time.
Yeah.
You a fan of folklore?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe in dragons. And I believe that there's unicorns and fairies. They're just on a different.
I think they all were. I think at one point there was all on this planet, man. You telling me at one point there wasn't a horse with a horn on its head? There's an elephant with a trunk that's huge. There's a giraffe with an 8-foot-long neck. You telling me there wasn't a little pony with a fucking horn on its head? Get out of town. That's more believable than duck-billed platypus. If you go, hey, there's a venomous amphibian mammal that looks part duck and part fucking otter or whatever it is, and it's got a huge plate on the back of its tail. It shoots poisonous barbs. It does a whole bunch of stuff. You go, get out of town. I don't believe that thing exists. You go, what? Lives underwater and it's that cute and it can kill you? I don't know. I don't believe that. A blowfish? A little fish that's that big and just inflates to a big balloon? I ain't gonna believe that. Get out of town. You know, it's what I'm saying. But people can't believe that there was a horse with a horn. I'm not saying unicorns had wings. You know what I'm saying? You know, there might have been. Who knows? Who knows? There were probably... Imagine in modern day times we found out that there was a horse with wings. How much would we How much would we hunt them to want one?
Yep.
Imagine if literally if we found a herd of them with the millionaires, we'd be all over them. Every single leader of every country would want one. And that's what I believe happened. I think that we just did that over and over and over again, you know, with everything. It's the way people don't like my views sometimes because they're like, there's no proof. I'm like, yeah, but there's also very little proof of anything. There's no meaning in life. Start from that. If you can't start from there, the basic realization of why we're living, well, where are you going to go from there? We can go from anywhere to there. At one point, we didn't believe we could get into space. Now we are. One point, we didn't think we could get hyperballistic missiles. Now we are. Do it into planetary fucking spaceship. Yeah, give it 15 years. We'll be there. It's all going on. You know, it's just time. Oh, that was your cat. Oh my God, that was crazy. That was wild. I had my cat in here a second ago and I looked at your screen and thought that was my cat. That was crazy. No, my dark cat was just in here and I thought she was just over my shoulder, but I looked at your fucking screen. That was crazy. You'd seen the shadow. That was hilarious. That's the ghost cats. For real. My cat was just in here as well. I've got the darker one I was going to show her. And that was the point. I was literally like, oh, there she is. And I was like, no, she isn't. That's the wrong screen, asshole. Like, Jesus. Oh, fuck. You're on the wrong screen. Tune into the right frequency. But no, even then, folklore's such a good one because there's so many like myths and legends I believe in. You know, I think giants were real. I think, you know, there's like huge stones that we can't move to the modern day. Like, there's no equipment that can do it. But yet, it was done then. Okay, get out of town. You know, the only problem is all the evidence is in probably fucking the Vatican. It's the oldest library in the world. Them motherfuckers. In fact, as far as my recent bullshit knowledge goes, I'm pretty sure it was them that took all of the knowledge out of the Library of Alexandria. I'm pretty sure that they took some knowledge went to Egypt, which was very... Oh, wait. What is it? Is it the Candyman? What's crazy is I've got footsteps over my head. What is it? This is spooky. What's going on? You tell me to shush, but I've got footsteps going over here. What the fuck is going on? What is this? Some sort of mirror dimension shit? Is this Black Mirror? Is this what we're going to do? Crazy episode. I don't know what that means.